Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're at Holmes Honda. We're going to take a look at this 2023 Honda Civic LX. We're going to see if we can answer the question, do the features match the price? One thing's for sure, for the price that you pay for this model that I promise I am going to give you in the video, you get quite a bit, maybe a little more than you pay for. The exterior color on this model is platinum white. It has a black interior. It has a very enjoyable driving experience. And if you're looking for a naturally aspirated engine combination, well, that's available here too. We have what amounts to the 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. It makes 158 horsepower, 138 pounds-feet of torque. Obviously front-wheel drive. Would be nice to see a Civic offered an all-wheel drive, according to a lot of many of you tell me, I should say. So what do you think? Would you be willing to pay the extra money for an all-wheel drive Civic? And obviously mated to a CVT. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but for those who say, Tom, show us the window sticker, you can pause the video right now and hopefully be able to see what you want to see. I'm going to give you the information that you really need to know anyway. And you can already see the price down there in case you're curious about that. But we're going to see what you get for that price. But we talk about how you have that CVT, what's under the hood. How about MPGs? 31 city, 40 highway, 35 combined, and Honda says you should use 2.9 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. And in case you're curious, when it comes to filling up your gas tank, it's a 12.4 gallon gas tank. 2023 is the second year of the 11th generation of the Civic. Do you like this look more than the 10th generation? Tell me what your thoughts are where that is concerned. I know everybody has their opinions. Sometimes vehicles take a little time to grow on people when they've been fully redesigned, but the Civic does seem to be doing quite well. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, notice that flickering effect. No, you cannot make your lights do that on your Civic if you buy one. That has to do with the shutter speed of the GoPro I'm filming with. It's a common problem with GoPros, so when you see that in this video or other videos, now you know why it's doing that. And we do have LED headlights, and we're going to have Honda Sensing, Honda's safety suite of driving aids. That's going to be adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, road departure, traffic jam assist. All of that's going to be here. And we talked about this being front wheel drive. Well, what exactly are the numbers on the tires? And if you've ever looked at the side of the tire and you see the numbers and say, well, what does all of that mean? 215, the first number you're going to see, is the width. And then we're going to have the 55 will be the next number, at least in this case, that's the size of the sidewall right here. And then 16, which is going to be the rim size. So, if you're curious about that, well, now you know. And another common question, now keep in mind, this is the LX trim level. So, the one thing that is probably missing here that I know a lot of you want would be remote start. Not on the LX trim level, but you do have your remote here. You can see what all is here. Body color on the mirror caps, the platinum white with a little combination of the black right there. As far as the trim goes, these are power adjustable, manually folding. No, they're not heated. I don't know if that's a big deal for a lot of people. For some people it might be, for some people it might not. The shark fin antenna is going to be up there in a very nice look back here. Maybe not quite as sleek as the hatchback version, but still looks pretty nice. We'll finish things off with the LED taillights, and let's take a look into the interior of the trunk area. Let's see if we can get that to open for us. You know what, I forgot, I do need to tell you one thing about that. When you have everything on as I do right now, the ignition is actually on. This obviously doesn't work, but you know what, that doesn't mean that you can't open the trunk while the ignition is on. You can simply come right here and that will work. I had the ignition on so you can see all of the lights on the exterior of the vehicle. Kind of accidentally showed you that feature, but that's a good thing. Now, we have 14.4 up to 14.8 cubic feet. Quite a bit of space back here. Here's a big advantage, and you know what? a lot of you are going to say that's wonderful news, and that is the fact that you have a spare tire and everything you need to change a tire. Change that spare tire when you need to. And when it comes to maximizing cargo capacity, we're going to pull that release, and you don't actually have a 60-40 split back here. It's just all one solid piece. Now, I will have to make a change to lower this all the way down. Oh, the nerve of passengers in brand new Honda Civics at Holmes Honda, putting the seat that far back where I couldn't lower everything all the way down back here to show you what it looks like. Now, in this case, like I said, you don't have the 60-40 split, but because so many of you have asked for me to show you what it looks like with both sides down, if it were 60-40, I would go ahead and lower both sides here. But as you can see, it's all one piece basically, allowing access to the trunk area, or you can use this area to increase cargo capacity by sticking something through the area here, basically a pass-through now, and that gives you some options on additional cargo capacity. And beyond cargo capacity, let's talk a little bit about space back here for your rear seat passengers. Now, this is a cloth interior, and I know some of you say cloth interior is very antiquated. What's your opinion on that if you're watching the video? You do have a comfortable armrest back here. The best way to test that is the armrest test, as I like to call it. Put my arm up there. This is obviously not a large vehicle, so you're not going to have very large back doors, but large enough to be able to get in and out easily, but it does limit the size of the armrest here, but I think it still gets the job done. It's comfortable. Pressing down like this is not always going to give you the truth about whether or not it's comfortable. You need to put your arm up there. So that's a good thing. It is comfortable. The door bins here, really more of a bottle holder, I would say, than a door bin, but there is a good bit of space there. But other than that, that's about all we have to talk about as far as what's in the back seat area. You do have the oh crap handles for when the driver wants to exercise 158 horsepower. And no, there are no air conditioning vents back here and no USB connections. But again, remember price point. I think in time we'll eventually start seeing those sorts of features and options show up, even on a lower trim level like the LX here with the Civic. At this price point, not yet, but I think that day will come. And if you have an armrest and a door bin snob in your life, and they really don't like smaller door bins and smaller armrests, well, guess what? They need to jump into the passenger seat. Call shotgun, because you definitely have more space here, not only with the armrest and have the contrast stitching right here, but a little larger door bin. In fact, quite a bit larger. Definitely more than just a bottle holder. Now, here on the LX trim level, the driver and the passenger seats are going to be manually adjustable, but they are adjustable. That's the good thing. We're going to have a little bit of gloss black trim across the dashboard. I think that's a good thing where it's located, the areas where a lot of people are not necessarily going to be putting their fingers and fingerprinting that up. And you wouldn't necessarily know where the air conditioning vents are, except for having the adjustments right here. A very clean and consistent look all the way across. We're also going to have plenty of space within the glove box. And while we didn't have connectivity options in the back seat area, we do have a USB up here and a 12-volt power outlet. Little bit of space up here. No, there's not a wireless charging pad, but I think at this price point, that is something, yeah, you're probably going to have no choice but to step up to a higher trim level to get that. I don't know if that will ever come to an LX trim level, but who knows? But we do have something that I know a lot of you are going to like, and that is the fact that right here is the lack of a push-button shifter. A lot of you I know do not like that. So the conventional style here, that's what we have. And if you want to drive in econ mode, there is the button to switch in and out of that. Brake hold mode is obviously right here. The power parking brake. And if you want to turn off the auto stop start feature, that's always a good idea. And we're going to have our cup holders here, as well as the armrest, which, depending on where the seats are set, that can actually be in a pretty good position to use as an armrest, but it also doubles as the lid for the center console. And for the size of this Civic, I'd say there's a decent amount of space in there. And it looks like we do have the wheel locks. So you're going to find your wheel lock key in here. When you need to change a tire, you're going to have what amounts to this being a lug nut. This is the wheel lock. This is the wheel lock key. You'll find the wheel lock key in the bag, and that allows you to get your wheels off and keep only you in that position, not people who you don't want to get your wheels off and potentially steal them. And that's a good thing. And one thing about the wheel locks is the fact that they are specific to your vehicle. At least the wheel lock key is. That's always a good thing to know about. And earlier in the video, when I showed you the trick that you can use for opening the trunk when the ignition is on, see right now I can actually do it because the ignition is not on, but I showed you the trick earlier just using the button on the interior to do that here on the driver's side door panel. Got a little bit of a look at what else is here. The controls for those power adjustable side view mirrors, all of the windows, all that good stuff. The typical things you would expect to see here. And if you wanted to attempt a front wheel drive burnout with your Honda Civic, well, you can turn traction control right there off and go for it. You can adjust the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel by dropping this lever, and we'll hop inside and we'll listen. So when you get in, you have the music that plays that greets you into your Honda Civic, and a very nice looking digital dashboard, quite simplistic actually, but at the same time very effective. You can push the home button right here to get rid of what you see on the left-hand side of the dashboard right there, the instrument cluster. And why might you want to do that? Well, first of all, what you're seeing right there is what allows you to know who does or does not have their seat belt on. But when we push that button, here's what happens. I'm just pushing that, and then we can go through a lot of different information and settings for the vehicle, depending on what you need to know or do. Well, that's pretty easy to deal with. So in case you were curious about that, that's how you do that. Your steering wheel mounted controls, and right here, not only can you control the functionality with the lighting on the exterior of the vehicle, but this is a standard feature. Even here on the LX trim level, it has the turn signal lever that allows you to control the turn signals on the exterior of the vehicle. So as funny as it sounds, you can let people around you know what you're doing and what your intentions are when it comes to changing lanes and turning. I know that's big news for a lot of you because you don't know about that. I know that because I drive around you, so if you're curious, then you should know. Now, here is the touchscreen. This is the 7-inch touchscreen. And again, that blinking effect, I told you earlier why you see that. It is not actually doing that in real life here, or should I say in person. Maybe that's the best way to put it. I don't know. Gave you a good reason to laugh right there. But as far as while I'm looking at it, it's not blinking, only through the camera. But you do have all of your information here as far as what you can go through and changes and settings and all that good stuff. You can pair your phone, obviously. Now, pairing your phone does require a USB cable in this particular case. So in case you were curious to know, well, now you know. You can control everything with the radio, obviously with the two knobs right here. And we can go into reverse, and you do have the multi-view rear view camera. So depending on what you need to see, well, make the appropriate selection. And I think this is more responsive than it was in the past. At least it seems that way to me. Either that or I'm just getting used to it. And right here, this area, I like the fact that you can put your fingers there, and it just makes it easier to work your way around on the screen with the buttons, all that good stuff. And without having a very large interior, I think, at least in my personal opinion, that the fact that we have single zone climate control here, not a big deal. It isn't going to take long to get the cool air to the back seat because it's such a small area. Would it be helpful to have air conditioning vents back there? It always could be helpful. But again, let's consider price point. You're really at an excellent place depending on your situation. Maybe you just want to save money. Maybe you just want to have an extra vehicle to have that doesn't cost you much and you can just have it for fun, or whatever the case is. That's one good thing about this particular model of the Honda Civic. And now that we're out on the test drive, you might say, why don't you have the camera mounted to the sunroof? Well, here on the LX trim level, there's not a sunroof. I do like to have that position when possible, but obviously here it's not. But that's okay, we'll still give you the best view possible. And one thing I did forget to mention earlier, we were talking about driving modes. You basically have three. When you're in drive, you can call that normal. You obviously have the econ driving mode, and you might have noticed there wasn't a drive mode selector as you'll have with other models, but you can pull the shifter back from D to S, and then you're in sport mode. So we'll just have a little more fun that way. Allow the engine to zoom up in RPMs a little bit quicker, so gives you a little more, a little bit funner driving experience, I guess. If you wanted to go out for a spirited drive, maybe that might be a good thing. And that's one thing I have loved about these 11th generation Civics. Since the first time I drove one, I noticed it immediately as soon as I got out on the road, and that is the fact that these 11th generation Civics really feel as if they're sucking themselves down to the road. One of the changes that Honda made, or maybe I should say two of the changes that Honda made for the 2022 model year when they redesigned these Civics, was to the chassis and to the suspension retuned. And I can really tell the difference between the 10th and 11th generations in that this model just feels more planted, it feels more confident on the road, more sure-footed, so to speak. So at least that's been my experience, and I know a few of you have commented in previous videos and said, yeah, I've noticed that myself. So I think that's a good thing. And while you may not have a lot of horsepower here, the handling really makes up for that, because it makes it feel like it has more power than it does. You can put it into the corners and have a good time if you have a road to drive on with some twists and turns and different things like that. As far as the ride quality goes, in my personal opinion, I think it has a good ride quality. Keep in mind, you need to drive one of these vehicles for yourself, whether it's a Civic or whatever it is. Telling you about it in the test drive is one thing. Having you experiencing it for yourself, well, that's another. That's really what you need to do. Based on my personal experience, I think these Civics ride well. It's not a Cadillac, but it's also not a tank. So, boy, we can always see some interesting things. I don't know if you saw that. That was not the wisest move of that Silverado that just turned in front of the truck that we have in front of us right here from the stop sign. I can't seem to not observe bad driving when I'm out here driving around Shreveport, Louisiana. Thanks, Shreveport drivers. Hey, it gives you something else to see besides just the test drive. Now, one thing I will say here, getting back on subject, no more squirrel distractions, right? Or bad driver distractions, really. But if you're looking for a new vehicle, and maybe you're saying, you know what, I don't need a full-size sedan. I don't need an SUV. But one thing I also don't want or need is an overload of technology. That's one thing about this particular trim level that may suit some people. Even though you have Honda sensing, you do have the touch screen here, you can pair your smartphone. It's not too much. It's actually very simplistic. Easy to learn, easy to use, which is the case with really any technology that I've seen from Honda to this point. But if you're looking for kind of a minimalistic approach in that area, this model is really something that you should consider. And while, like I said earlier in the video, there's people who are going to say that cloth seats, cloth interiors should not even be something that's available in this day and age because they say it's antiquated. And, you know, everyone's welcome to their opinion on that. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I know people do prefer to have leather in most cases. Now, you might be the person that says, no, I'd rather have cloth. That's just one of those things, but it is available there. It's still comfortable. I feel very comfortable here. I think you'll find it to be very comfortable. As far as interior space goes, I know I've talked to people who have said they have friends that are well over 6 feet tall that fit no problem. Obviously, you can adjust the height and positioning of the seats, and while these are manually adjustable, they're still adjustable. So I think you get quite a bit here for the money. As far as the driving experience goes, these Civics are fun to drive. They're definitely very practical. You have a good bit of space in the interior, in the cargo area, so it really makes it a very versatile vehicle for its size, that's for sure. So now it's your turn to leave a comment and tell me what you think. Do the features match the price on the 2023 Honda Civic LX. You definitely do have a lot of features, a lot of options, a lot of modern day technology here for, well below $30,000, which is not very easy to find in this day and age. So tell me what your thoughts are. I have to say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me this Civic LX for the day, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed to the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel just yet, please consider doing so. And if you would like to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.